This is Forrest Benedict, licensed marriage and family therapist and author of Life After Lust. And today I have the privilege of interviewing a friend of mine, Geoff Steurer. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist in St. George, Utah, where he is the director of Lifestar St. George. And he is also the author of the book Love You, Hate the Porn, Healing a Relationship Damaged by Virtual Infidelity. He's also recorded a 6-part series, which is one of my favorite resources to refer people to, which is called Strengthening Recovery Through Strengthening Marriage. And I've shared that with students and with clients for many years, so I'm very grateful for that resource. And I also wanted to mention that he's that the chapter in my book, Disclosure 101, The Art of Coming Clean, was based on Geoff's generosity in providing that content. So we've been able to partner a little bit here and there. I've been on his podcast, which I would highly recommend. And today we're talking because Geoff recently created a trust building bootcamp, which is a 12-week online course to help individuals repair broken trust from any type of serious betrayal. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about that course that he's created and also provide some content that he is generously sharing with all of us. And so, Geoff, I'm just grateful to be on the interviewing end and having this time with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Forrest. I definitely consider our professional and personal relationship one of my greatest joys. So I'm grateful for all the work that we both do and being able to share our lives together like this. So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh yeah, thank you. No, it's such an honor, and it's fun interviewing people that I consider friends, It's like,
yeah,
there's great content that you put into the world, but then it's just fun to hang out and record it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I will mention too that at the end of this, we'll provide a code if people decide that the trust building bootcamp is something they want to do that would give them a little bit of a discount. And so anyways, I'll put that in the notes. And so could we just kind of start with like what inspired you to do this bootcamp? I know you've done a lot of projects that were joint projects with a lot of people, and this one was you like doing your own thing. And so can you tell me a little bit about like what led you to do that?
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that in particular, because I feel like I'm kind of like the guy that's been in a band all these years and wants to do a solo record. It sort of felt like that because I love collaborating, and I've collaborated with some amazing therapists, Kevin Skinner, Jeff Ford, just some great people, Mark Chamberlain with the book. We've created some incredible resources that have blessed a lot of people. And I think I just wanted to know, maybe selfishly a little bit, maybe just wanting to know, like, do I have a voice? What do I sound like? So there is that part of it. I think that's a normal thing as a creator and a professional. You kind of want to just get a feel for what you sound like. So there was that. I definitely can't deny that. But in terms of the actual, so that's more of like, why did I do something by myself question, but why did I create this particular resource? Well, first of all, it's stuff that I've been teaching and kind of working on professionally and personally in my own life for more than 20 years. I've been married for 23 years, and I know firsthand in that time that rebuilding trust is not like a linear, clean, easy process. It's very messy. I've broken my wife's trust before. Within the first couple of weeks we were married, in fact, she was kind of wondering, like, who is this guy that I married? Because I was super immature. And so I've had to like really learn what it takes to rebuild safety and confidence and trust in a relationship over all these years. I wish I could say I've only done it one time, but it's just part of building intimacy and connection. And sometimes there's major betrayals that happen. There's things that really threaten the relationship where it really takes it to the brink. And so I wanted to create a resource where people have a structure to follow, where they have lots of validation, lots of tools and resources, someone that can guide them through the messiness of knowing what to do. Because I think there's a lot of questions that people have
about whether I'm going to make this worse or whether if I do this, it'll be better. And I don't know about you, but in my own relationships and also just professionally, like oftentimes what sort of is maybe instinctive in rebuilding trust often makes things worse. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of what I teach and what I want people to understand is some of this is going to feel very counterintuitive, and some of it's going to feel even unfair or maybe like it's going to go backward.
Mm-hmm.
But rebuilding trust is something that doesn't necessarily come naturally to most people, especially when they're in distress. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be a gentle guiding voice through that process. And it's 3 months long, it's 12 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously going to take longer to rebuild trust in most cases than that, but it's a
Yeah.
great foundation, great start.
Yeah. No, I love that you bring in that. I mean, trust building really is something that all of us need to work on. Marriage is so difficult already. Two people from different backgrounds with different traumas, prior to the marriage, and then they come together and trying to make it work. So you got that challenge in and of itself, but then you throw in something like betrayal trauma, and I mean that makes it even more complex. And I agree with you that it's so difficult. People can feel really lost in this process. Like, what do I do? Like, this is so, like you said, like the things that we think will work, like just being logical and just being like, well, you should get over it now. Like it's been a while. Like, can't we move on? Why you keep bringing this up? Like stuff like that maybe make sense to us, like isn't the most helpful thing to do. And so it's so valuable to have someone like you who's had years of working with couples in this situation that can give some really practical advice that actually will work. And people must be
Yeah.
so desperate, like desperately hungry for this information because they really don't want it to all fall apart.
Right, right. Yeah, and I chose in doing this, I went back and forth about, should I create this to be like a couples course? And I thought, no, no, I'm going to speak directly to the person who betrayed the trust. Like it's going to be a kind of a one-on-one. And what's interesting is as I've had students enroll and people have given me feedback as we've gone through the course, as they've gone through the course, a lot of the betrayed spouses are actually watching the videos and like paying attention to that stuff. Cause I think that in
Mm,
some ways they're like, who is this person guiding my spouse through this process? Like, what does he have to say?
mm-hmm,
And I think that they end up talking. I talked with one student, and he told me, my wife and I set aside time virtually every night to watch a video together and talk about it. And so it ends
wow.
up becoming a couples process for a lot of them. But for people who are not in a place where they're working on the relationship and the person just wants to learn how to be a more trustworthy person, the videos are just me talking to them directly. It's very much a
Mhm.
one-on-one coaching type thing, structuring it. Because a lot of these relationships are, as my friend Jeff Ford puts it, a lot of these marriages are in the waiting room still. There's a lot of uncertainty about their future. So I wanted someone just to get to work and not worry about the relationship dynamics and saving it right away. And so that's the approach I took, and it seems to be working well.
Wow. Yeah, that's such a valuable resource. Um, I love the idea of couples watching it together, and it does make sense that like like the advice that you're giving is going to have a major impact on a relationship. So it makes sense that the partner would be interested, like, who is this guy and what does he have to say? And I mean, I found you to be a very um, safe and um, reputable resource for partners. So I would say that as far as that's concerned, like partners, I'll just say to any partners watching that uh, that whoever it is that's trying to build trust is in good hands. That you're
Thank
somebody
you.
that's probably one of the most skilled in this area of rebuilding trust. And so it's such a gift that you're willing to to share these resources. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for your confidence in that. Yeah, I mean, I think if a betrayed partner were to watch all the videos, they would probably be really validated and feel very supported, because I'm teaching about betrayal trauma. I'm teaching about how to be safe, how to not act like an abusive person. Just really like how to steer away from anything that would be unsafe or threatening to the conditions of
Mhm,
rebuilding trust. And
mhm,
that's very partner centered. It has to be for it to
mhm,
work.
definitely. So, and I think you mentioned this, but this is for anybody trying to rebuild trust, right? Like, I know you and I specialize in sexual addiction, but it sounds like it's a resource that anyone in a situation where trust has been broken would benefit from it.
That's correct. It's men or women can use it, straight, gay, whatever. Like the relationship doesn't matter. Like
Mhm,
any configuration, any orientation, any background, it doesn't really matter. I tried to make it really safe for anyone
mhm,
to watch and apply. So if it's a sexual betrayal, that's fine. If it's a financial betrayal or lies or secrecy or violence, if there's
mm,
abuse, verbal abuse, it doesn't matter. Any type of betrayal. I mean, I even had I had a woman buy it because she had. I mean, it's primarily designed for adult romantic relationships.
mhm.
You know, committed relationships, but I had a woman buy it who was trying to rebuild trust with her adult children.
Wow.
Um, she had betrayed their trust, and
Mm,
I don't remember the specifics. I said, "Sure, absolutely. The principles are the same. You'll just have to, translate a little bit when I say your spouse or your partner or whatever to be your kids." I said, "But you can do
mhm,
that."
mhm.
And she found it tremendously beneficial and went through it. And so, yeah, any relationship where you're trying to rebuild trust, any intimate relationship.
Wow, that's so valuable. Yeah, I really hope that people catch on to the resource that you've created, and I mean, I hope that therapists find it, and I know it's something that I definitely want to use with my clients as well. So it sounds like it's something that is will be helpful to so many different people. And I was really intentional with writing my book, um, for males or females or for whoever. I think
Right.
that's really a valuable thing that you've created. I know females that I've talked to were kind of frustrated that everything was just aimed at males, and so I really value that you've made something that everybody that's in this boat of wanting to rebuild trust can relate to and feel included. So I really
Good.
value that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what's a concept or what's something that you feel like the audience would find helpful that may give them a little bit of a taste of some of what you're providing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. The There's a concept an acronym that I came up with in my course that really kind of helps organize. I guess you could call it sort of the theme that you'll repeat over and over again as you're rebuilding trust. So the acronym is ACT, and it stands for accountability, compassion, and time.
Mm,
And I'll just explain all three of those. And I mean, I build entire modules around these, but the short version will be basically that the accountability is always first. When you're rebuilding trust, you have to lead with accountability. If you lead with anything else, obviously excuses or blame or avoidance, or even, did I say explanations? Those excuses, yeah,
mm,
explanations. um, then it really sends a signal to your partner that you don't care about, that you're not safe, that you're not going to, who's in charge of this, who's responsible for it, right? So, but if you put the responsibility back on yourself and say, no, I did that, even if you feel like it's more complicated than that. A
mhm,
lot of people feel like, well, it wasn't only me, or even things like, it's the way I was raised, or there can be so many different pieces as you're trying to heal so that you can overcome this, you're learning that it's not, a lot of people get so hung up on intention. I didn't mean to, again, I was raised this way, or I was really stressed out, or it was a really hard time in my life, or, they can come up with a million reasons. And so a lot of times the intention is really just a way to help your partner see that you're not a horrible person. Well, if they can see that I'm good at the core, or I really care, and I didn't mean to, then that'll help them feel better. It never does. It never helps them feel better in the beginning. What I've seen is when you lead with accountability, it actually speaks your intention more clearly. When you lead with accountability, you're actually living your intention, which is, I care about your pain. I'm a person that won't hurt you. I'm going to take charge of this. So like when you do that, it really gives your partner, a really safe kind of experience with you experientially, not just, take my word for it. It's kind of like sometimes, I'll joke with my wife or my kids, and I'll just say something like, I'm really a nice guy. I'm raising my voice,
Yeah.
And of course, like, I just want them to take my word for it that I'm like harmless, but like I'm acting harmful. And so that's kind of the same idea. When you lead with accountability, you actually present yourself as pretty harmless. You come across as safe. So that's accountability. And I put it first because you always need to lead with it, but you need to like stay accountable for the rest of your life. And I tell people in my course, I'm like, there's no expiration date on your accountability. You don't just somehow magically become unaccountable down the road once it's been 5 years or whatever. So that just is always like a foundation of safety there. Compassion is really just about caring about your partner's feelings. It's one thing to say, okay, it was me, right? But it's like cold, it's defensive, it's shame-based, it's blaming, it's a lot of other things, except it's lacking the warmth and the compassion, the care, the concern for, well, how did what I do hurt you? And it's interesting in repairing broken bonds, that's almost the part that hurts the worst, which is you didn't care about me. Like, yeah, you did all these things, but you didn't care about how that would affect me, or you don't care about my feelings. And when somebody really feels the other person cares and really gets it, that's when the healing starts. And so I do a ton of work in the program to help people really get into their hearts and really deepen their ability to care and have compassion for what happened to their partner. And sometimes this is hard when you're dealing with a really wounded partner who's not nice, who's prickly, and they're defensive, or they're shut down, or they're aggressive, and they're not open at all. It's really hard to like care about their pain when they're hurting you back. I mean, it's tough. And these are messy situations, but that compassion is really important. And then the third thing is time, which is not only the amount of time, like we always say, time heals all wounds, which isn't totally true. But there's the length of time, but there's also just spending time with your partner. So there's sort of two different concepts there. So the length of time piece is just to be patient, because it will take way longer than anybody wants it to, including the person who's hurt. I've never met a person who's been injured who wished it would take more time.
Yeah, really.
They're wanting to get over it probably worse than you are. And but the thing is, if they're going to be honest with their healing, they're going to take time and let things surface and honor and respect their process. And I don't put a time frame on this. I mean, we have research that says, in major betrayals like infidelity, it's 3 to 5 years, which is a huge range, by the way. I mean, to give yourself 3 to 5 years, that's a 2-year gap. I mean, it's definitely not 1 year, and it's definitely not 30 years if you're actively working on it. But it's going to take longer than, one conversation where you talk about it and then it's over, or let's go to counseling for a few months and just put it behind us, or those kinds of things. So time and being patient with it. And in the course, I talk a lot about how to help people maintain emotional stability for a long time so that they learn how to stay in that process long term. It's not enough just to say it's going to take a long time. I want people to have resources to actually make the best use of that time and to be active parts of that healing process for their partner and themselves. And then the other part of it is spending time with your partner and erring on the side of closeness and proximity and trying to just let them know that you're a presence and that you're there with them and you're not going to abandon them in their pain. So it's not enough just to give it time. You could give it time and just avoid your partner, and that's not going to help. Or you can give it the time and also be around more and be more available, more accessible, more responsive. And so those three things are repeated. The ACT, the accountability, compassion, time, are repeated time and time again. They're always going on. They're active, elements of rebuilding trust. And I find in my experience, people that not only do those things, but embrace them and internalize them and make them kind of their new identity, their new way of interfacing with relationships. Those people win back trust. And even if they lose the relationship, some people can't stay married because maybe the damage is too severe or for other reasons. You can still be trusted. You can still someone that they might, in terms of perhaps with the kids or with, your family members or just living in the same area. I mean, there's a lot of ways we still have to be around each other. And you want to be a trustworthy person, whether or not you get everything you want out of it.
Yeah, so. I love that. I love how you framed that this is about becoming a trustworthy person. And I mean, obviously you don't have control over whether the relationship will work out or whether it will grow or whatever, but that seems valuable in and of itself. I mean, even if somebody came to your course and they're like, yeah, my marriage or my relationship failed, but I want to learn to be a trustworthy person for any relationships, or even just to trust myself. Like, obviously, we care about how that could apply to a relationship, but I don't know, that just seems like such a valuable thing to learn how to be a trustworthy person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of people that might take this course wouldn't necessarily even be in a relationship. And so we want to give people options and let them know, look, this isn't relationship based per se. It's not contingent on you saving the relationship. It's about you deciding as an individual that you're going to be someone with integrity and a safe person. We talk a lot about emotional safety or psychological safety in the course, and really teaching people how to be that safe person, which makes you really great as a parent, as a coworker, as a friend. I mean, it just has wide application.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. Yeah, the idea that time heals all wounds could be a little bit deceptive because it's not just time, it's actually intentionality and compassion and all of those things. Like, it's time plus a couple of other ingredients that show that a new reality is being created. So that seems really simple, really practical, and really helpful. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited about the course. It was definitely about a year-long process of writing and filming and building it, and I'm excited to share it with the world. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and I'm grateful that I can expand my reach a little bit and help more people than just in my practice. So.
Yeah, no, that must feel like such a celebration to be done with such a huge endeavor. Is that have you been able to soak that in yet, or?
Oh, not quite. My wife promises me we're going to go have a celebration dinner. We just had to get through the holidays and family stuff. There was just a lot of things because I finished it. I actually finished the very last video and editing and uploading everything like the week before Christmas. And so
wow,
I'm barely catching my breath. So it's pretty hot off the press, completely finished. And so, yeah, There will be a celebration because it feels good to finish something that big, because it has, 12 weeks of content. There's like 3 videos per week, handouts for every module.
Wow.
So it's just hours and hours of content, and it's just a big project. I bit off way more than I expected. I thought it would be much smaller, but once you get going, you're just like, oh, I got to include that. I got to make sure I say that, and you don't want to leave anything out. And so it's definitely, the culmination of all the best things I know how to do to help people that I've figured out over the last 20 years. And of course, been influenced from a lot of great therapists and friends and thinkers like yourself and others. So I just definitely wanted to make it as comprehensive as I could.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. Even if, this could be part of, I'm glad I get to celebrate your accomplishment and your gifts and all of that with this interview. And I love too that, not only is it a personal accomplishment, but it's like, it's such a valuable resource. Like, it sounds like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's a personal accomplishment to finish this thing, but then it's like writing a book. Like, you've created this really super valuable thing, and you're like letting it fly out in the world now, and it's going to be impacting hundreds, thousands of lives, really. I mean, not just the lives of the people that take it, but the lives of the people within the influence of those that take it,
Absolutely.
the relationships, the kids. I mean, this type of thing really has such an impact, such a ripple effect that you never will even really see. But I'm excited to know that you've created that, and that has been let go into the world, and now people can enjoy that and experience that.
Thank you. Thanks for the celebration and all your support. You're great.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. It's been fun to watch this process, and now it's fun to share that with others. So thank you again for sharing your acronym with us and sharing yourself with us. And I hope people will go to your website and check out that course and really apply the things that they learn. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks again, Forrest.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.